Alrighty, guys, welcome to engineering and AI, guys. This is the new laptop. The camera still sucks, it seems. I'm gonna make a video here for you guys today, guys. I'm gonna try and make this concise and to the point because I seem to talk a lot. So, guys, one of the reasons why I made this channel is because I want to talk about engineering. Because why not? One of the things I've noticed about the STEM fields and technology in general is that we discount the effects of progress, right? And this is going to be more of a philosophical video, if you will, on technology if you're going into the STEM field, how it affects people, right? So the first thing I think we need to think about, right? Like ChatGPT, I should thank ChatGPT because that's the reason why I started this channel, is we need to start accounting for the effects of technology on society as a whole, right? Because if we think about OpenAI, right, what they did is on December 9th, they released this artificial intelligence into the market. There was no, anybody reviewing this. There was nobody seeing where it got the data from. There was nothing. It just got released into the market, and it totally changed software development. Everything as we knew it changed in one day, okay? And the effects it has on the market, guys, I've talked to some software developers, some people in STEM. I think a lot of people are in denial of the truth that this thing is going to get very, very big, okay? And I just think it's the truth, guys. I think if you think otherwise, you're an idiot, but you can believe whatever you like. So on engineering and AI, right, one of the things we want to do when we're studying electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, whatever it is we're studying, when we're making inventions, we're making new innovative products and services, we also want to account for the effects that these products have on society, right? Like when Nikola Tesla released the light bulb, it changed the entire world, because before we had candles or we used to have to go down with the sun, right? But now you have electricity. It changed the way how we could become productive. ChatGPT is like the same thing, right? So where I'm really trying to hit home here, that I want technologists, engineers, AI designers, PhDs in engineering, neuroscience, psychology, whatever it is you're doing, right? The question we have to ask ourselves is progress for progress sake always good, right? Because I think one of the things that I think mistakes humans are making in general is we're doing this very sloppy process where we're just throwing things out on the market and just hoping it goes for the best. And I think it's really stupid because we're not understanding the long-term consequences of how it shapes our society. I feel like we need to start asking some very important questions on what type of society do we want to live in. Okay, so I'll give you guys an example. So ChatGPT, right? There is going to be an iterative technological progression where it's going to keep improving at an exponential rate, right? Okay, and you'll have some counter argument to say that it's not going to be exponential, whatever. But guys, it's very straightforward. ChatGPT shows that with enough data inputs, you can get scalable outputs and get high value information, and it's not even truly an intelligent being. Okay, now let's assume that it could become intelligent and it has these scalable parameters. You're going to have something so intelligent it can solve problems at a rate that humans cannot even comprehend. Okay, what does this mean in societal terms? The first things first, guys, our brains have not gotten faster. We do not think faster. We don't work faster. We work exactly the same. Okay, we input information on a laptop by hand. Computers, they work at the speed of light. Okay, so that's like 1 billion times faster in terms of information transfer. Okay, our neurons, I believe it's we send protein chemicals across the synaptic gap to the postsynaptic cleft at 240 miles an hour. I believe I could be wrong on that, but so we have a speed problem here. We cannot keep up with the rate of progress, right? And there's some other things we have to realize. Human nature does not change, not really. Okay, all technology has done is it has accentuated what humans already are, right? We are lustful creatures. We're greedy. We're egocentric. We're jealous. We're narcissistic, right? That's all technology does. It only amplifies what we already are, right? And I think we need to start really revising, is progress for progress sake an ethical thing to do? Because we can't keep progressing forever. This is one of the myths about technology. We think that we are going to be able to progress until the end of time. It doesn't work that way. You cannot keep progressing forever. There is a limit on how much technology we can keep innovating. Okay, so I want you guys to think for a moment. Right now, we're in the 21st century. The Industrial Revolution happened roughly 150 years ago, and we have things like the car, the airplane, right? The microcircuit, the microprocessor, and we had all these innovations that changed the way society worked. We had Moore's law, where computing power doubles every 18 months for over 40 years. Okay, that's incredible. We had a miniaturization of processing power every 18 months consistently, right? We made so much progress within the last 150 years that we have changed how all of society has worked for the last 5,000 years, right? So, what we have to begin to analyze is that 300 years from now, right? The world as we know it will be so different, it won't make any sense anymore to the way that you and I understand the world. Because we grew up in a capitalist system where we exchange time and dollars for resources at a future point. Okay? And our children and your children's children are going to be raised in a world that will have entirely different value systems, entirely different ways of viewing the world. Social systems will be entirely different. For example, let's look at Tinder, right? Tinder was not really a thing until like eHarmony came out in 2006, and it totally changed the dynamic of dating in such a humongous way that men and women had to adapt to a new way of dating because people don't really approach anymore, right? So on engineering and AI, that's the question we have to start analyzing. Is progress for progress sake good? I think we need to be very careful because I think we humans are thinking way too short term. We are playing with technology that could affect us for hundreds, if not thousands of years, okay? But we only think a decade. We're not thinking far enough into the future about what it means for our future generations, okay? Because remember, your children and your children's children's are going to be the ones dealing with these problems long after we are dead, okay? So, like as an example, if progress for progress sake is always good, and ChatGPT exponentiates its results to become a perfect AGI system that can automate 50% of tasks, then let's use a thought experiment. Well, what is the logical prerogative that will occur in this scenario? What will likely happen is the concept of capitalism is not going to work in the same way anymore, because capitalism works by having workers work for a wage that creates a surplus of resources that goes to the business owners, and in exchange you get a wage so you can purchase those goods, so you can pay your rents, so you can pay landlords, so you can get loans out. The whole entire system is based off wage labor. If wage labor ceases to exist, the concept of sustaining capitalism also ceases to exist. It doesn't work in the same way anymore. This will have repercussions for everything, okay? We pursue our careers in our fields so we can achieve status, money, and power, but that is also destroyed through automation. That means you're investing decades of your life that can be rendered redundant within a couple of hours to months, okay? This is a moral problem because effectively technology is destroying time value. It destroys time value because you are getting non-refundable time that's been rendered pointless. Okay? So, and there's some other problems we have to begin to look at. if we don't look at analyze the effects of progress for progress's sake on the evolution of society, then we may end up in a society we may not want to live in. Okay, now I don't want to get into what is the best society or the worst society, but we know that in our current society there are definite flaws with capitalism, right? We know that capitalism gives improper distributions of wealth. It hyper concentrates wealth to the few business owners or the capitalists, while the peasants make no money. Okay, and then in this system, there's this concept of overproduction where we have so many goods and services that we can't use all these goods and services. Capitalism produces too much goods and services, which causes overconsumption of resources. Okay, which is why we're burning through resources at an exponential rate that is inherently unsustainable. But that is not my point of this video. It's not to critique capitalism. My real point here is, let's say that AGI is not 30 years away. Let's say it's 5 years away, right? Because with ChatGPT, I can 10x. With ChatGPT, I can literally 10x my software development and speed up all forms of software programming at 10x the rate. Guys, I've been doing all of my newsletters on ChatGPT now. I can now maintain a consistent newsletter. I just put in a prompt. It finishes the prompt. I get it done within 30 minutes, which would normally take 3 hours. And normally I wouldn't be motivated. That's a humongous paradigm shift in my business that's been automated. Okay. Now, if it does succeed, and it's not if, it's a matter of when, in this new economy, right? Will we live in what I call a techno-feudal society, right? And then this is the question that the collective whole and the technologists need to ask themselves. If I am making this technology and we're not qualifying the technology, we're not putting safeguards in place, should I be held responsible for its consequences? I think that inventors need to be held responsible for the consequences that it has on society. Okay, there has to be repercussions if you're releasing technology without proper safeguards. Okay, guys, if we let's say we live in a techno-feudal society. What is a techno-feudal society? So there used to be this thing called feudalism where you had the kings, the peasants, the nobles, and the serfs, right? The serfs used to live on the lands of the noblemen, and they used to do labor in exchange for renting the land. In other words, they didn't own anything, and the king was absolutely powerful, right? In this type of society, it was very, very hard to transcend your economic limit. You were basically in a caste system. Um, so in a caste system, it's not a fun world to live in, right? So in techno feudalism, it's not exactly the same, but in simple terms, once automation reaches about 80%, there will no longer be enough jobs anymore to sustain future wealth capital creation and to keep creating new jobs. Because the fallacy that people keep saying is that job creation will always supersede job destruction in the creation of new innovation. This is wrong. As new innovation is created, job destruction supersedes job creation as capitalism becomes more optimized. Remember, capitalism is always optimizing inefficiency to maximize production to meet the demand with a higher supply at the lowest possible rate. Okay, so in this economy, if it's even an economy, I don't know what to call it, is you're going to have hyper rich people who are incredibly wealthy, okay, who own the means of production, like Marx talked about. They will own the means of production, and you will own nothing. You don't own anything because you no longer have the money to own anything. And that's the principal concept of capitalism, is private property. If you cannot own anything, then you are just perpetually renting services. Okay, which also means that your living standard is now fixed and you no longer have the opportunity to get rich, to live this luxurious life. You are now living a fixed life, which means we've reverted back to a caste system. Now, the consequence, right, for the very wealthy people is that the question is quite simple. Will they give up their wealth if AI removes the worker, because the ultimate goal of a capitalist is to remove the worker and to collect all of the money. That is the goal of all capitalists. They don't want to pay workers anything if they could get away with it, right? Which is what they're doing with software development. They don't want to pay software developers $100,000, so they're going to find a way to lower your salary as much as possible and make all of the money, and you get none of the money. And this, my friends, is the fundamental problem, the moral problem. It is unlikely that these wealthy people will give up their wealth and distribute it in an equitable manner, right? Which means that they will implement, as a possibility, a universal basic income system where we all will be stuck, perpetually dependent on government on a fixed income scale. Okay, now to me, this is terrifying because in this type of society, the government has absolute domination over every aspect of your life. In this type of society, they will have all your information on your smartphone. They already are harvesting my data right now. Okay. Every moment of every second, the AI will be trained on more and more and more of your data. They'll spy on you. They'll know everything about you, and they'll control your finances. And on top of that, guys, you will not be able to get financially free. Financially free is the ability to freely live your life however you want. Some people will say, well, that's okay. We'll live in a UBI-based system. But be careful what you wish for, because in a UBI-based society, the society itself and the values of how it works are going to shift dramatically in the way that it is organized, okay? Because on a UBI-based income, it has to be equitable and egalitarian to be fair, okay? That means housing prices have to come down for us to be able to buy these prices. Stocks. Will stocks exist in that world? I have no idea, right? So there's so many questions of what it means. And this is just one theoretical example of where society could go if we're not aware of technology, okay? You know, and then there's a moral question. If those wealthy people who own the means of production are unwilling to distribute their power of production, because production is now wealth, to all the people who made this thing and are concentrating it, which they will more than likely do, then it is a moral problem, because they're now saying that they get wealthy. They get to have all these opportunities in the pre-capitalist society, in the capitalist society, but you now lose that opportunity. So effectively, they're saying that we will keep all the wealth and the opportunity we got in a capitalist surplus market, while you will stay in a fixed UBI-based economic system where your standards will be fixed forever. Okay, so these are fundamental problems we have to start thinking about, because UBI for UBI's sake or progress for progress sake may not be a good thing. Okay, there is a limit on how much we can progress as a human society, and I believe we need to start evaluating how we organize society. There's going to come a point where we cannot keep blindly innovating without understanding the consequences to everybody. Because, like, guys, even with ChatGPT, guys, it's going to affect everything. Guys, coding boot camps are already obsolete right now. Coding boot camps, millions of people's livelihoods are being destroyed right now. Email marketers, they're gone. They're less effective all across the board, and this is only going to get worse. Okay, but of course, people are going to say, well, there's going to be more jobs created in the new market. It's absolute nonsense, guys. In real capitalism, where you're having more innovation, you're going to typically, job destruction is going to supersede job creation, and the jobs that are created are typically lower value jobs. So guys, tell me what you guys think of this video. That's all I have for you for engineering and AI. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you.